Hello and welcome back to the continuation of our video making strawberry rhubarb mead. Okay, previously, about 2 weeks ago, following the ingredients, we mixed up our must in this bucket right here. We sanitized it, aerated it, and pitched the yeast and let it ferment for about 2 weeks. At this point, we're at the stage where the fermentation has slowed down. There's no bubbling at all going on in the airlock. And I think the fermentation's, the primary fermentation is probably done after 2 weeks. So I'm getting ready to rack this mead from the bucket to a jug, a 1 gallon jug. That's how much we're making. Okay, so the process of racking this mead requires the following pieces of equipment. We have our bucket, a 1 gallon jug, lid, and a bung with a hole for the new airlock that goes on top. We will mix up a solution using this sanitizer. I will mix that in the 1 gallon jug and then pour that all into, well, actually you sterilize the inside of the jug first, then you pour that all into a shallow sink over here, and we'll use the same sanitizer to sanitize the rest of the equipment. This is a racking tube and an auto siphon. The auto siphon allows you to draw the must up into the tube, and when you push down, it automatically pushes it through the tube down to the jug where we'll be siphoning from the pail into the jug. And there's a little cutoff valve here that you can use to stop it when you want. And if you get extra, we'll just siphon it off into maybe another smaller vessel. All right. This is what I use to do my specific gravity check, the hydrometer and the test tube. And I always use one of these to pull the liquid must out of the pail and put it into the test tube so I can check the specific gravity. All right, so let's get started. Okay, mixed up 1 gallon of Star San. This is the sanitizer. It's normally 1 ounce for 5 gallons, so we divide that out and mix enough in there. All right, and then let this sit for a couple minutes just to sterilize the inside of the jar. And then we're going to put the rest of the so the rest goes in the sink along with all of the equipment that we're going to use to rack this off. All right, let me put this in the rack. Okay, now let me review the layout of what we got going on here. Okay, we're sanitizing the equipment in the sink. Here is the fermented mead, and I've pulled the nylon bag up and out and suspended it so I could let it drain, and I have squeezed some of the juice out of there. If you look down here on the side, you can see where the line is of the liquid. I actually produced more than I wanted. I produced about 1.5 gallons. So the must will be siphoned to a lower place. You have to get your jar down probably about 2 or 3 feet so you can siphon down. And then I have an extra jug here for overflow because I have 1.5 gallons. So I'm going to get my first gallon in the 1 gallon jug and then overflow. Okay, so with any fermentation, it's very important to know your starting gravity, and then after the fermentation or the primary fermentation is done, you really need to check to see what your specific gravity is. Now, I've siphoned off with the with this into the test tube, and right now I can tell you we're hanging out right around 1, a little bit over 1. So 1.002, maybe 0.03. This is a good primary fermentation. We started at 1.09, which would have been way down here on the scale. And after the sugars were all eaten and converted into, carbon dioxide and alcohol, now the sugars are mostly gone. If we get to 1, it would be almost all gone. In truth, you have to get down below 1 in order to really get rid of almost all the sugars. You got to get down to almost 990. That would be 0.990. So this is a very good primary fermentation at this point. All right, next step, we will actually begin the siphon process. Now again, the hose to take it from the auto siphon to the jug. Now I would highly recommend that you put the hose to the bottom of the jug, down here. This is now what's considered, the must is now an anaerobic environment. That means you do not want any more oxygen getting into this liquid than you have to. So as its siphon's coming through, you want the hose to be submerged in the liquid as it starts to fill the jug. Okay, so this is not difficult with an auto siphon. Put your auto siphon into the liquid and you pull up to draw some into the liquid, and then when you push down, I gotta put the jug down lower. All right, there we go. So the jug starts out lower than the pail. And when you push on the auto siphon, get it down in there deep, and there it started. As soon as you give it a shove, you'll see the liquid start coming through all the way down to where you're in the jug, and there it's starting to fill. Okay, so here is the final view of our racking today. Our 1 gallon with overflow. This overflow filled up to about here. I'm probably going to add some distilled water to bring it up to here. It'll be a little weaker, but it'll probably be all right. And here's what's left in a bucket. Now, I didn't mention, it's a very good idea to tilt your bucket up if you want to put a block of wood or something behind it so that you can lean it over, and then when you're siphoning you get a little more off of that edge. Okay, so this has a little bit of pressure in it, you can see. Don't be surprised if you still get some bubbling. There's some secondary fermentation that's going to go on. This is going to have to sit like this for, I would say, 2 to 3 months. It'll start to settle more, it'll clarify more. And then after that, we're going to rack it again to another jug. So it'll be the second racking, and we may check the specific gravity at that time. And as you go along, you want to let it clarify, you want to let it finish. And it takes a long time for mead. I may have mentioned this originally. It could be 9 months till this is drinkable. All right, time to clean up.